The 1990s were a time of change. The 1980s action star breathed his last, well, until his comeback anyway. And where did that leave the pretenders and the dabblers, the less muscular generation, people like Christopher Lambert and Mario Van Peebles? Well, it left them starring in movies like Gunmen, which is my guiltiest of guilty pleasures. Gunmen is directed by Darren Sarafian, who'd go on to be a regular director of TV episodes the likes of House, Buffy and Nash Bridges particularly, but he was also in the before he was Jar Jar stuff like Lost and Fringe. And despite starting with this horrible crane shot, Gunmen is a masterpiece, and it's all down to this cigarette ash. I mean, this could indicate that this one particular inmate has nothing better to do. It could indicate that Lambert is hypnotic. And you'll note that he's not smoking it. Lambert eats this fly as part of a one-man war against the insect world, and our photogenic inmate marks the wall with a cross. Is he marking off the days, or is he marking off the flies? Clearly this is a movie with deep thinking at its core. I really want this film to be based on a book, but not a pulp thriller left by the dozen on airport seats, but a classic, a lost Hemingway perhaps. What we do know is that the screenplay is by Stephen Sommers, writer and director of such quality fare as the Mummy series, Van Helsing and G.I. Joe. This is a guy who watched Return of the Jedi and thought, wow, this proves that the last 2/3 of a movie can be its final act. Perhaps not having noted that the movie itself was the third act of a trilogy, so his maths are off by a bit. Patrick Stewart is in this. You know that's a mark of quality, and he sports a terrific accent occasionally, but it begins with him burying his wife alive in her wedding dress. This is probably an act of spite. It is unlikely to be their honeymoon. It is actually a lesson for the henchpersons, Dennis Leary and Brenda Backer, on the subject of loyalty, because Stewart plays Loomis, a drug dealer looking for a boat that his former henchman has put all of his money on. I like to think that Patrick Stewart took this role because it was out of the ordinary for him. He just starred on Star Trek, but also because he gets to sit down the whole time. Loomis offers 10% of his fortune to Dennis Leary if Leary can find it and return it to him. This 10% adds up to $40 million, which means that the money Loomis has lost is approximately $400 million, and that isn't far off the cost of producer John Davis's next movie, Waterworld. As he buries his wife alive, Stewart asks, "Am I overreacting?" Well, it makes a change from overacting, and then the cameraman has to show off his union chops with this horrible zoom, and we get our first pairing of Lambert and Peebles. "I'm so happy to see you," he says. "Who are you?" Lambert is enjoying himself. Peebles will certainly warm to it, and the scenes together veer wildly from amusing to amusingly cheesy. They are the finest double act since Pizza and Cheese. Lambert plays Danny, the brother of Carl, who has stolen Loomis's cash. This is Carl here. Leary and Backer wanted to interrogate him to find the money, but Backer cut his tongue out because she's vicious. Oh, and stupid. She gets all the best terrible lines and delivers them all with, what's French for gusto?
Tongue part was an accident.
Carl had made off with Loomis's cash, but he was on his way back for Danny, according to Danny at least. But at least Lambert's stunt double is getting some good work out of it. Leary murders his next informant and his wife, but not his daughter. He comforts her, saying, "Trust me, sweetheart, you're better off," and she certainly looks comforted. Van Peebles is working for the DEA at a foreign outpost, and the government is looking to pull the plug on this. Here we learn again that Carl ripped off Loomis and loaded all the money on a boat. Carl then killed all of his men. During this exchange, the office toadies awkwardly hang out, but it's actually secretly brilliant because he's the mole, as we'll learn later. I absolutely love this guy. He should be the toady character in every movie. The chief is outstanding too, and in 1993 he'd win an Oscar for Best Performance by a director's brother. And while they're chatting about Carl being found dead, Danny's escaped. He was 2 feet away, but they had important things to discuss, so it's completely in character. Lambert buries his brother in a heartfelt moment where he channels his inner Connor McLeod. The accent's the same anyway. But while he was doing that, this small child has apparently buried both of her own parents. Moved by such a work ethic, Danny drops a girl off at what is either a nunnery, if nuns all wear these heels, or it's the stripper assassin school from Assassin's Creed. And yes, there's dreadful music in this film. Danny escapes to a brothel, having just come from one, to one of cinema's more bizarre sex scenes. You won't be the only one wanting more, but Peebles and Leary and co. have both caught up with them. And if you're doubting that this film is a classic, look at that soft focus. Tony Scott would have been jealous of that. But the important thing to remember here is that they need Danny alive.
Arriba!
Backer is trying to murder another person that they need to talk, but all great movies have a character with a character flaw, and hers is that she's a liability. Van Peebles will wheel out the "my name is USS Nunya" gag, and the producer of Waterworld gives the director some of other people's money to spend. After escaping, Lambert continues his genocide against the Bug Kingdom, and Peebles plays the gag of talking in his sleep in order to solicit a kiss for the name of the boat that the money's on, though a moment earlier, Danny's diet had left him making this face. Even after a day and night has passed, Leary and co have been searching the whole time because the helicopter is still in the air and it's still in the same place. And when you need to capture somebody alive, you definitely need a bazooka. When I was a teenager, this bit about the candiru was my favourite bit. Apparently these fish swim up your penis and get stuck and can only be removed by cutting your penis off. Remember here that Leary and co want them alive. Even Summers realises how silly they're being and how entertaining this all is, and he has to ADR a line from Leary saying, "Don't kill them, you morons." But if you're going to ADR, why not get Peebles to ask, "Is there any candiru in this thing?" as they're rolling down these rapids? Now this woman gets the best line of the entire movie, and I so want it to be ad-libbed for her. Peebles says to her, "You bathe with that thing?" and she says,
"I lost my rubber duck."
Lambert is phenomenal. The way he stares at her breasts the whole time he's talking to her is majestic. Seriously, he is nailing this role. What did the Academy look for in an acting performance? Was Van Peebles the first person to threaten to pop a cap in your ass on film? I really hope so, because it would just make Gunmen even more perfect. Have we still got money to spend? Yep. So let's get this A-team shot, because this isn't a chase. This van is going to the same place as the helicopter, so why wouldn't the helicopter follow the roads? In this scene, the office weasel kills his boss, and this cinematography is Godfather level cinematography, and I don't care what you say. This guy is scatting outside the bar because why not? And this guy's rapping inside because we need to know the movie's theme tune. And these guys are definitely rappers because they have a line for no reason, so it has to be a cameo. Now, Peebles and Lambert are here because they need to hire a pilot, because Peebles knows the name of the boat and Lambert knows where it is. Patrick Stewart is definitely the hardest working man in showbiz. Genuinely, I love this scene. The way the henchmen are eating his food and drink shows that Loomis is losing his grip on them, but he still has enough menace about him that he arranges for his loyalists and betrayers to have a shootout. Apparently in South America, when a random knife sharpener turns up in your one house street, it's not in any way suspicious, which is why they ADR'd Patrick Stewart saying, kill them all," as the knife sharpener goes about his business. The deaths of these extras is so 1980s, it's a Duran Duran album. Peebles and Lambert start to bond. Their pilot joins in because why not? We all wanted it to happen and it did, and we're all happy about it. And genuinely, I love this movie because part of their bonding involves shooting each other in the leg to stop the other one running away. Legitimately, this is one of my all-time favourite parts of the movie, and I'll admit it, it's one of my favourite parts of any movie. Danny is captured by the bad guys again. Peebles phones for backup and learns that the chief is dead and that the backup office is shut down. Then he meets the office weasel, now working for Leary, who gives himself away by saying that the chief is there. He thoroughly earns this kick, which, because Peebles has been shot in the leg, is amazing and well worth showing thrice. Now, I'm no doctor, but I think this dude's leg is broken. What kind of gun is that? A cool one. It's this sort of movie. With Danny rescued again, the two of them escape on a boat, and there are at least 3 amazing things here. The first is this spider, which, despite all the time they spent in the jungle, there's absolutely no setup for Peebles being afraid of it. The second is that Lambert's sheer joy at one-shotting the first mooring line turns to anger and frustration when he misses half a dozen shots at the second. The third, I'm not going to ruin for you. I can't ruin the whole movie. Despite being useless, I do feel sorry for Brenda Backer, who's been heartbroken, shot in the arm and harpooned, but is still able to insist that she'll be okay. Leary puts pay to that when he unloads a whole magazine into her, and really it's probably the only disappointment of the movie. Why, in all this low budget excess, didn't they make him reload and do another one? Gunmen is glorious, and his bonkers performance as Danny certifies that Christopher Lambert is either a genius or completely insane, while Mario Van Peebles is just insanely cool. I want to watch Gunmen again right now, and even though it's 30 years too late, I want there to be a sequel more than anything else in Hollywood.
Sexington University is just your everyday, typical university. Nothing out of the ordinary ever happens here. There's no alien attacks, no homicidal houseplants, no meteor showers, no Cthulhu cults, no fatal field trips, and absolutely no alien professors. Enroll today and get this fabulous free pen.